Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. Iran just claimed it shut down an F-16 that was piloted by Israeli pilots. But Israel says the pilot walked away laughing. I have my doubts about those statements coming out of Tel Aviv. So, who's lying? And what does the truth reveal about the most dangerous skies on the planet right now? And by the way, F-35 also has been hit. And I have it on good authority from 3 different sources. I'm going to share 2 with you, and the other one it's not through a link. So I'm going to share this with you. So make sure you stay with me till the end, because that's what I'm going to be talking about, the F-35 separately from what I'm going to be addressing here. So basically what you're looking at, everything the West, that means the United States, Israel, Europe, and so forth, the West that had an idea, that they thought they knew about Iran's military, just got thrown out of the window right now. If F-16 is down, if F-35 is down, that means everything we used to think about Iran's capability is out of the window from what we used to think before. One missile, and suddenly the most advanced air force in West Asia is playing defense. And this is what I'm going to be providing you in my analysis here. I'm going to do a translation for a clip that I get from overseas. Then I'll address the F-35, and I share with you my own insights. Then I'll conclude with brief clips to highlight to you some other aspects. But I decided this time around, before we launch into this, I will greatly appreciate if you could subscribe if this is. If the truth matters to you, hit like, subscribe, and tap that bell. No spin, no agenda, just the stories they don't want you to know. Don't watch from the sideline. Be part of the movement. Your support keeps the truth alive. Thank you. All right, let's get into. I'm gonna because this is a fast-moving and significant story unfolding that it happened 24 hours, 48 hours to be exact, 48 hours ago. I didn't want to talk about it yesterday till I confirm certain aspects, and this way, because as I said, the story is unfolding as we speak. So now you have the new air defense systems from Iran. That is the one that is striking this really F-16 and even F-35s jets that are in central Iran sort of flying. Things have changed now. So let me start here. I'm going to share the screen with you, and I'll do the translation for you, as we always been doing so far to ensure the accuracy of the information. Let's take a listen, please.
من طهران مراسل التلفزيون العربي حازم كلاس. أهلا بك حازم. إضافة إلى آخر التطورات، أود أن أسألك أيضا عن التصريحات التي والبيانات التي صدرت عن الحرس الثوري الإيراني، والحديث عن إصابة مقاتلات، وأيضا خاصة بالذكر الحديث عن مقاتلة من طراز F-16 بمنظومة جديدة للدفاع الجوي وسط إيران.
What she's saying, basically, joining us from Tehran is Al Arabi TV. That's, by the way, I give credit to the channel. That's the TV channel called Television Al Arabi, or the Arab TV, basically. Now, the correspondent for that network, his name is Hazim Kalas, or Kalas. It says, "Welcome, Hazim. In addition to the latest development, I would like to ask you about the statements and communiques issued by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, specifically the reports regarding the targeting of fighter jets, and in particular, the mention of an F-16 fighter jet being struck by a new air defense system in central Iran."
بالفعل يعني قد يكون هذا من التطورات البارزة اليوم. قبل قليل الحرس الثوري الإيراني أصدر بيانا يقول فيه بأنه عند الساعة 3:45 فجر هذا اليوم تمكن من إصابة مقاتلة من نوع F-16 في المنطقة المركزية وسط إيران دون أن يحدد المكان بدقة. وقال بأن هذه المقاتلة هي الثالثة التي يتم إصابتها.
Well, saying indeed, this may well be one of the most significant developments of the day. Just a short while ago, the IRGC issued a statement announcing that at 03:45 this morning, meaning 2 days ago, the morning of that will be of yesterday or the day before, they successfully struck an F-16 fighter jet in central region of Iran, though they did not specify the exact location. They further stated that this fighter jet marks the third aircraft to be struck. FYI, I want to just make one comment. In my opinion, the reason why they didn't want to disclose the location is because probably that's where the air defense system sets are. So if they disclose where the plane was struck, that gives away to where the new defense system. That's just my opinion. So maybe I'm wrong. So let's continue here.
سبق أن أعلنت وكالة تسنيم الإيرانية قبل أيام عن إصابة مقاتلة ثانية من نوع F-35، وسبق ذلك أيضا إعلان الحرس الثوري الإيراني وبثه صور لإصابة تعرضت لها مقاتلة من نوع F-35.
A few days ago, the Iranian Tasnim news agency has previously announced the targeting of a second aircraft, an F-35 fighter jet. Prior to that, the IRGC had also issued an announcement accompanied by a release of imagery detailing the damage sustained by an F-35 fighter jet. This was subsequently corroborated by U.S. media outlet as well as U.S. official statements.
وهذا ما أكدته لاحقا وسائل إعلام أمريكية وكذلك تصريحات رسمية أمريكية، وقالت بأن المقاتلة في ذلك الوقت قبل أيام تمكنت بعد إصابتها من الهبوط اضطراريا في إحدى قواعد الأمريكية في المنطقة. الحرس الثوري الإيراني في بيانه أشار إلى أنه منذ بداية العدوان الإسرائيلي الأمريكي على إيران وحتى هذه اللحظة 3 أسابيع تمكن من إسقاط 200 مسيرة وصاروخ كروز.
This report indicated that the aircraft in question several days ago was able to execute an emergency landing at a U.S. base in the region following the strike. In its latest statements, the IRGC noted that since the onset of the Israeli-American aggression against Iran, spanning the 3 weeks leading up to this very moment, they have successfully shut down 200 drones and cruise missiles.
وإصابة عدد من الطائرات تزود بالوقود التي هاجم مرابضها وهاجم أيضا في سماء العراق خلال الأسابيع الماضية، وكذلك هذه المقاتلات الثلاث. هذا أحدث.
They also reported striking a number of aircraft, specifically aerial refueling tankers, by targeting their ground emplacements as well as engaging them in Iraq airspace over the past few weeks. This tally now includes the 3 aforementioned fighter jets.
بيان يصدر عن الحرس الثوري الإيراني فيما يتعلق بالمقاتلات. قبل بعض الوقت أيضا وخلال هذا النهار وكالة الأنباء الإيرانية الرسمية إيرنا تحدثت في تقرير لها عن منظومة جديدة باسم مجيد كانت القوات المسلحة الإيرانية قد كشفت عنها قبل 4 سنوات أو 5 سنوات. هذه المنظومة هي يبدو أنها المسؤولة عن هذه الاستهدافات للمقاتلات الشبحية التي يتم استهدافها في سماء إيران. هذا تطور مهم وبارز، وكما ذكر أحمد يعني هذا قد يقلق الجانب الإسرائيلي والجانب الأمريكي بشكل كبير جدا إذا ما تمكنت إيران بالفعل من إسقاط هذه المقاتلات. التطور
These constitute the most recent statements issued by the IRGC regarding fighter aircraft. Furthermore, earlier today, the official Iranian news agency, IRNA, published a report discussing a new air defense systems known as Majid, a system that the Iranian armed forces had previously unveiled some time ago. For the past 4 or 5 years, since this system appears to be responsible for the targeting of stealth fighters, specifically those being targeted in Iranian airspace. This constitutes a significant and notable development, and as Ahmed mentioned, it could indeed be a cause for concern for both the Israeli and the American sides. This will be a monumental development should Iran indeed prove capable of shutting down these fighter jets.
التطور المهم الثاني أيضا الذي سجل اليوم هو إعلان وكالة مهر أن صاروخين أطلقا من إيران باتجاه قاعدة دييغو غارسيا في المحيط الهندي. هذه القاعدة البريطانية الأمريكية تبعد 4000 كيلو متر. صواريخ إيران بحسب ما هو معروف من مداياتها لا تتجاوز 2500 كيلو متر، وبالتالي نحن نتحدث عن تطوير ما، وهذا ما كانت القوات المسلحة في بياناتها وتصريحات قادتها قد تحدثت عنه خلال الأيام الماضية من مفاجآت.
The second significant development recorded today is the announcement by Meher News Agency that 2 missiles were launched from Iran towards the Diego Garcia base in the Indian Ocean. This Anglo-American base is situated 4,000 kilometers away. However, based on unknown specifications, the range of Iran's missiles does not exceed 2,500 kilometers. Consequently, we are likely witnessing some form of technological advancements, a possibility that the Iranian armed forces, through their official statements and the remarks of their commanders over the past few days, had previously alluded to when promising surprises. I want just to say something quickly here. I am looking into this incident regarding the targeting of Diego Garcia base. And to me, I will not be surprised, because that will be the element of what Iran referred to as surprises. We don't know. So far the information saying the range of the missiles from Iran usually does not exceed about 2,500. This is basically the range right here. However, do you think, in your opinion, Iran is going to disclose everything? No. So I won't be surprised, but I'm going to do a live stream for you about this once I confirm the information. Let's continue in our listening here.
صواريخ بحسب وول ستريت جورنال وبحسب ما قال مصدر بريطاني أيضا لفرانس بريس قبل قليل، لم تؤدي إلى إصابات وفشلت في الوصول أو إلحاق أضرار، لكن مجرد وصول هذه الصواريخ إلى دييغو غارسيا يحمل رسائل ما تتعلق على الأقل بمدايات.
According to Wall Street Journal, and corroborated just moments ago by a British source speaking to Agence France Presse, AFP, these missiles caused no casualties and failed to either reach their target or inflict any damage. Nevertheless, the mere fact is that these missiles reached the vicinity of Diego Garcia conveys a specific message, one that, at the very least, pertains to their operational range capabilities.
وصلت حازم. وأيضا يعني قبل أن تجيب اسمح لي أن أشير لما ذكرته أيضا. وكالة فرانس بريس تقول عن مصدر رسمي بريطاني: إيران حاولت دون جدوى ضرب قاعدة دييغو غارسيا. يعني المديات، المسافة تبعد 4000 كيلومتر. مديات الصواريخ الإيرانية لا تتجاوز 2500، وبالتالي منطقيا هي لم تصل ولم تقترب حتى منها.
What she's saying there, did they actually reach Hazim? In other words, did the missile reach Diego Garcia? That's what she's asking. And before you answer, allow me to point out a detail also reported by AFP, citing an official British source. And quote, Iran attempted without success to strike the Diego Garcia base. End of quote. This brings us back to the issue of range. The distance is 4,000 kilometers, whereas the known range of Iranian missiles does not exceed 2,500 kilometers. Therefore, logically speaking, they could not have reached the base, not even come close to it.
ولكن نتحدث رولا عن تطويرات قد تكون قد طرأت على الصواريخ الإيرانية. القادة العسكريون هنا والبيانات العسكرية الرسمية خلال الأيام الماضية توعدت بمفاجآت. نحن نتحدث عن يعني صواريخ إيران التي عملت على تطويرها لسنوات وعقود. قد يكون هناك إمكانية بأن تكون مديات الصواريخ قد طورت، كما أنه يعني ربما في حالات نادرة جدا يعني لم يسجل في التاريخ سابقا أن طائرات شبحية تستهدف بمنظومات دفاع جوي مصنعة محليا من قبل إيران، كما أشرت إلى منظومة مجيد التي تحدثت عنها وكالة الأنباء الإيرانية اليوم.
However, Rula, we are discussing potential upgrades that may have been applied to Iran's missile arsenal. Military commanders here, as well as official military communiques issued over the past few days, have indeed promised surprises. We are referring here to missiles that Iran has spent years, even decades developing. It is entirely plausible that the operational range of these missiles has in fact been extended. Furthermore, and perhaps in extremely rare instances, history offers no prior record of stealth aircraft being successfully targeted by air defense systems that are entirely indigenously manufactured, as is the case of the Majid system, which the Iranian news agency highlighted today.
كل شيء وارد، ولكن بحسب هذا وسائل الإعلام الإيرانية هذه الصواريخ وصلت ولكنها لم تلحق أضرار ولم تصب ربما. لا أحد يعلم، لأن هذا التصريح أيضا لم يصدر بشكل رسمي عن الحرس الثوري الإيراني أو القوات المسلحة الإيرانية. لم يسجل أي بيان رسمي أو تصريح رسمي من أي جهة عسكرية رسمية حول هذين الصاروخين.
In this context, anything is possible. However, according to Iranian media sources, these missiles did indeed arrive. However, and perhaps no one knows for certain, they reportedly caused no damage and may have not struck any target. This remains unclear, as no official statements regarding this incident has been issued by either the IRGC or the Iranian armed forces. In fact, no official communique or statements concerning these two missiles has been recorded from any official military entity.
ولكن وسائل إعلام إيرانية ومن بينها وكالة مهر شبه الرسمية أوردت الخبر، وكذلك وول ستريت جورنال أوردت الخبر، والآن فرانس بريس تتحدث عنه نقلا عن مصدر بريطاني. ربما لم تصل الصواريخ إلى أهدافها، ربما فشلت، ربما أسقطت، ولكن بطبيعة الحال مجرد يعني التفكير من قبل إيران بفتح هكذا جبهة هذا يحمل الكثير من الدلالات. ربما تخبئ القوات المسلحة الإيرانية شيء ما في هذا.
Nevertheless, various Iranian media outlets, including the semi-official Mehr news agency, have reported the story. Likewise, the Wall Street Journal has covered it, and Agence France Presse is now reporting on the matter, citing a British source. It is possible that the missiles failed to reach their intended targets, malfunctioned, or were intercepted. However, naturally, the mere fact that Iran will even contemplate opening such a front carries significant implications. It suggests that the Iranian armed forces may be concealing something in this regard.
هذا الصدد. هذه يعني هذان التطوران هما الأبرز ربما على الساحة الميدانية. أما ما يتعلق بالاستهدافات الإسرائيلية الأمريكية فبالتأكيد استهداف منشأة نطنز مجددا بعد أن كانت قد استهدفت من قبل المقاتلات B2 خلال حرب الاثني عشر يوما. استهدافها مجددا يحمل أيضا رسائل مهمة إلى إيران تتعلق ببرنامجها النووي.
These two developments perhaps represent the most prominent events currently unfolding on the operational front. As for the Israeli and American targeting operations, specifically the targeting of the Natanz facility, once again, having previously been struck by a B-2 bomber during the 12-day war, this renewed strike conveys important messages to Iran regarding its nuclear program.
يحمل قلقا يتعلق بالمخاطر الإشعاعية المحتملة في حال استهداف منشآت نووية إيرانية. مخزون إيران من اليورانيوم والمعدات الإيرانية المرتبطة بتخصيب اليورانيوم موجودة في المنشآت النووية مدفونة تحت الأرض بحسب.
It also highlights concerns regarding the potential radiological hazards that could arise should Iranian nuclear facilities be targeted. According to Iranian officials, Iran's stockpile of uranium, along with the equipment associated with uranium enrichments, is housed within these nuclear facilities buried deep underground.
المسؤولين الإيرانيين، وبالتالي يعني هذا أثار قلق دفع هيئة الطاقة الذرية الإيرانية إلى القيام ب من خلال منظمة السلامة والإشعاع النووي التابعة لها بإجراء قياسات واختبارات سريعة وطمأنة المواطنين وإرسال تقرير إلى الوكالة الدولية للطاقة الذرية. هناك عتب كبير من هيئة الطاقة الذرية الإيرانية.
Consequently, this situation sparked alarm, prompting the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, acting through its affiliated Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection Organization, to conduct immediate measurements and tests, reassure the public, and submit a report to the International Atomic Energy Agency. By the way, the Atomic Energy Agency, it's corrupted. How can you trust them to begin with? As a matter of fact, they were the one that they have sort of manipulated the reports. So I won't trust them at all, no matter what they say. Let's continue here.
على الوكالة الدولية يتعلق بعدم صدور موقف واضح وقاطع وحاسم من الوكالة الدولية للطاقة الذرية يدين استهداف منشآت نووية إيرانية سلمية تخضع للرقابة من قبل الوكالة ومفتشي الوكالة حتى قبل حرب الاثني عشر يوما وحتى بعد حرب الاثني عشر يوما لبعض المنشآت التي لم تهدم.
Furthermore, the AEOI, which is the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization, harbors significant grievances against the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, stemming from the latter's failure to issue a clear, unequivocal, and decisive stance regarding this matter. The International Atomic Energy Agency condemns the targeting of peaceful Iranian nuclear facilities that are subject to oversight by the agency and its inspectors, both prior to the 33-day war and subsequently in the case of certain facilities that were not destroyed. It's just a highlight to you where things are. And once again, I give credit to Television Al Arabi, or the Arabic TV. That's the footage from them. My point in all this, I wanted to highlight to you two key things. One of them has to do now with the issue of the F-35 being downed. And as I said, I'm going to be providing you sources regarding this incident. And once again, should this move into this direction, we can now conclusively conclude that Iran now is moving from a defensive posture to an offensive one. That is the key we need you to understand now. And here is why. Because Donald Trump, as of yesterday, now he postponed attacking so-called Iran's nuclear sites. Makes you just wonder. Now he's going to delay it because he gave Iran 48 hours. What a bunch of, he's delusional. He's thinking that he's going to intimidate the Iranians now. I'm only going to give you 48 hours to do what I'm telling you to do. And Iran said, bring it on. But now, after this incident of the F-16 and the F-35, Donald Trump might be backpedaling now, thinking it might not be a smart idea. He's realizing he's been pulled into this wholeheartedly. He's been tricked by Netanyahu. Because the war is Israel's war, but it's the US that is paying for it in blood and treasure. That is where and I'm going to address some of this as I move forward. Now, when we think about separating facts from fictions or claims, that is, when the IRGC is saying we downed an F-16, what will be the motives for them to lie about this? And the reason I'm saying this, I'm comparing it to what the Houthis have done before. You remember last year when the Houthis said, we're going to fire a missile? They weren't just bluffing. Or even after they fire a missile, they come an hour after and said, we have fired at Tel Aviv, we targeted Ben Gurion Airport, and so forth. They weren't bluffing. The same argument. Why will the IRGC be bluffing about this one or lying about it? And that, again, where it changes the dynamics. Why? Because we're talking about now either the possession of Iran of some really advanced air defense systems, which will be operated by the IRGC Aerospace Force, and in this case will be either provided by Russia or by China. Yes, it might be indigenously produced, but for this sophisticated to target an F-35, you need something very, very advanced. And to my knowledge, you have only at least so far the two main countries, three countries that have those kind of systems, the US, Russia, and China so far. Yes, you have some other countries, part of NATO, that might be, North Korea might be having some of that. But this is, again, where you have to put this into perspective as far as the accuracy of this. On the other hand, you have the Israeli IDF. I'm going to provide you the link for this because I looked into it inside Israel. The IDF itself confirmed, here is the thing, confirmed that an Iranian surface-to-air missile was fired an Israeli jet during an operational mission over Iran. Of course, Diana, I'm assuming, let's move with that argument. If that fire, the F-16, which by the way was piloted by an Israeli pilot, and to my knowledge was a female, was struck, of course the IDF would not want to say this, but they will say just partial truth to it, that a surface-to-air missile was fired indeed. And what the IDF continuing its report, it said that, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the aircraft evaded the threat. No damage was caused to the aircraft, and the mission was carried out as planned. I have my doubts, so I'm going to provide you the link. I'll put it in the chat box and let you decide for yourself. There we go. Here is the link. You can read it later on should you decide to do so. Now, when we think about the verifications of this, of course, you have the Sunday Guardian confirmed that Iran shut down a fighter jet. Israeli authorities have not confirmed it. The Americans are confused. But in the US, while the government is saying, Donald Trump, well, of course, they won't deny it, you have other independent entities inside the US. And I'm aware of one when I used to live near Washington in Virginia, one that deals with having satellite images and confirming that indeed fighter jets, US fighter jets, have been struck down by Iran. And this is again, and I just wanted to provide you both sides of the argument, as we always do in this community here, and we'll discuss them and we'll reach a conclusion, true or not true. I'll provide the facts, I provide the sources, and you reach your own conclusion. Now, how close was it really, assuming we go to this? Of course, to the Israelis, closer than they would prefer to admit. The same thing for the Americans. They won't want to admit it. Because the IDF acknowledged the jet came close to being hit, but refrained from saying it was struck. And that's, in my opinion, reading between the line, knowing how intelligence reports and these matters are usually reported to the public. Usually that's saying the loud part quietly. That's a notable admission, in my opinion. It means Iran defense systems did acquire and engage the target and might even bring it down. That's, to me, the way I look at it. What do you think? What is your opinion? If we have any pilots here in the community, you can share in your opinion here. So now, the other logical question we have to ask is, does this event or development signal the advanced Iranian air defense system capabilities? And if they are, were they acquired? That's, to me, the other logical question. And to me, I'll say yes, because Iran's IRGC claiming it's a success regarding the importance of engaging these air defense systems. When they are saying, and I quote here from the reports coming out of the IRGC, that we successfully intercepted and destroyed more than 20 aerial targets, including drones, cruise missiles, refueling aircraft, and advanced fighter jets during the first 3 weeks of the war, end of quote. That, to me, is an evidence of a stronger national air defense system. That's the way I look at it. Because you go back, and this is again where it's important to understand the developments of events as they go. If you are to go back, what should come to your mind regarding this particular aspects of what we're talking about? Because the shutdown by Iran that includes multiple Israeli Hermes 900 and Heron drones, that includes also the US MQ-9 Reaper drones in Isfahan and Bandar Abbas. And of course, now you add the F-35. The US F-35 was damaged and forced to make an emergency landing on March 19th. So the F-35, specifically the incidents, in my opinion, is the most significant than the F-16 episode. Why, you may ask? It's because F-35 is a stealth aircraft specifically designed to evade a radar. That is, again, where the key. Because the bigger strategic picture here now is that Iran's air defense appears to be capable, might not be dominating, but is capable. They can reliably, in my opinion, they can reliably now engage drones and slower, slower aerial targets. They can also threaten conventional fighter jets like F-16s operating in their airspace. But also they can do another thing. And that other thing is they can potentially detect and even damage stealthy platforms under certain conditions. But of course, the US and Israel, of course, will deny this one. And they're saying, no, we're going to still fly our stuff. But damage to a stealthy platform, it's usually a hint for what lies ahead. And that is, again, the US and Israel is going to be saying, no, we are successful, like what Donald Trump is saying. I'm going to declare victory and end the war. No, man. Come on. Stop this nonsense. Stop being delusional, Mr. President. Now you are dealing with the hard reality. You underestimated Iran. Same with Israel. Israel now, some images that are coming out of Tel Aviv, you looking like the same we saw in Gaza. That is exactly what happened. So here is what I need you to understand before I move into briefly talk about the F-35s. The bottom line is that Iran's air defense systems now is more capable than many assumed going into this conflict, meaning the US and Israel assumed that, oh, they got nothing there. Yes, it's still going to be sort of, you're going to hear from different angles on this. It's going to become an information war as to whether this is verifiable or not, the shutdown of the F-16, the targeting of the F-35s. Because here is the more telling data, in my opinion, points that the F-35 incident, which if confirmed, will be genuinely historic developments in the air warfare. And this leads me to address the exact sources of where this comes from. So I'll talk about the F-35 as I told you I will. Now, after US F-35 jet was made an emergency landing at an airbase in the Middle East last week. By the way, the base was not disclosed. And this is exactly what Iran is saying to the Arab countries. As long as you host American bases, you are a target. Simple as that. Because the missiles that fire at Iran are coming from your territory. Let's make more sense. And this is, again, two sources familiar with the matter told the US media that the jet, F-35 in this case, had been struck by Iran as it returned from a combat mission. It's the same claim that Iranian reported, Iran's media that is. So, and once again, if this is true, it will be the first time during this war that an F-35, the cornerstone of Washington's aerial firepower and supremacy per se, has been struck by Iran. So I'm going to be providing you a link. It was in Arabic. You can do the translation, but what I want you to pay attention to is the date. And the date is March 23, 2026. So here's the link. I'm going to put it in a chat box for you. And you can take a look at it or read it should you decide to do so. That's from one. And again, I had three sources. One in West Asia, one in the US, two in the US, one in Virginia, one in Central Command, and one in the Middle East. That's the Middle East or West Asia that I shared with you. Here is the one from the Air Space Force magazine. So you're not going to know much about it because this deals with only military aspect. The Air and Space magazine, Force magazine, is located in Arlington, Virginia. What is in Arlington, Virginia? That's where the Pentagon is. And that's the one that disclosed, once again, in an article published on March 2022, which means yesterday, that a U.S. Air Force F-35 pilot suffered shrapnel wounds after their aircraft was damaged during a combat mission over Iran on March 19th. People familiar with the matter told Air and Space Forces magazine the aircraft was hit by ground fire. Though U.S., that's the third source, U.S. Central Command has not provided details. The aircraft was most likely damaged by a surface-to-air missile rather than by small arm fire or another projectile, given the altitude at which F-35 typically flies. The incident is under investigation by the Central Command, according to U.S. military officials. I'm going to put the link for you in the chat box, and this way you can read it later on, because I got to keep going with what I need to cover here. And this takes me back to what I was talking to you about earlier about why the Arab leaders in the region are not coming forward. First of all, condemning what is Iran and what U.S. and Israel did first, and second, Why they are not coming forward and disclosing that certain attacks on their countries, like the two, one in Bahrain and one in Qatar, were not conducted by Iran? This is what I need you to understand. You know, the recent targeting of the Qatar energy facility? Some sources saying that it was done by Israel. The Bahrain, the explosion that took place in Bahrain, that was done by a US missile. And again, this is what I do for you, to bring you the information that you need to know. Why the media is using blackout on this, why they don't want people to know. And that's the harsh reality. And this is again where I see why Iran issued the statement to the Arab nations, especially in the Gulf. You need to ask Americans to leave, because as long as they are there, you remain a target. So I'm going to share a clip with you of an Iranian woman. She's probably an official. I do not know who she is exactly, but if I am to guess, she's an official inside the. And to my knowledge is that she spoke very, very good Arabic, fluent. I'm very, not surprised, because Iranians are very smart. It's just I didn't expect it. I was expecting her to do the briefing or the statements in Farsi. So let me share the screen here, and I'm gonna do the translation for you. Let's take a listen to the entire speech first. It's very short.
بسبب الخذلان من حكام الدول العربية، وبسبب الخذلان من حكام الدول العربية الذين قبلوا على أنفسهم أن تكون بلدانهم قواعد أمريكية، وقبلوا أن يضحوا بشعوبهم من أجل اللقيطة إسرائيل. لكن المضحك أن ترامب قد تخلى عن حكام الخليج بعد أن زجهم في الحروب وجعلهم تحت رحمة الصواريخ الإيرانية، وكان كل همه كيف يحمي إسرائيل. لذلك نقول
هذا مو مجرد موكب، هذا
وبسبب الخذلان من حكام أن ترامب قد تخلى عن حكام الخليج بعد أن زجهم في الحروب وجعلهم تحت رحمة الصواريخ الإيرانية، وكان كل همه كيف يحمي إسرائيل. لذلك نقول أن التمسك بأمريكا كالذي يتمسك بالسراب، واللي يتغطى بأمريكا عريان. فعليكم يا رؤساء الدول، يا رؤساء دول الخليج، التمسك بشعوبكم وبوحدتكم، ولا تجعلوا أراضيكم ثكنات عسكرية للأمريكان، بل اخرجوهم من أراضيكم لكي يعم السلام.
That's really a powerful. When it comes in Arabic language, of course, you do translation, things can get lost a little bit. But here is what she said: because of the treachery of the Arab rulers, and she's right, spot on, rulers who allowed their countries to become American bases and sacrificed their people for the sake of the illegitimate state of Israel. It is ironic that Trump abandoned the Gulf rulers after dragging them into wars and leaving them vulnerable to Iranian missiles. His sole concern was protecting Israel. Therefore, we say that clinging to America is like grasping at a mirage. And whoever seeks shelter with America is left naked. So you, leaders of the Gulf states, must cling to your people and your unity. Do not allow your lands to become American military barracks. Expel them from your lands so that peace may prevail. Very, very, very powerful. That's the way I see it. And now this paves the way for me to mention to you, which I am going to be working on the stories for you. But this is exactly what I did to those, by the way, who watched my video that I released yesterday, the analysis that I did about how America is broke because of those Gulf states now is going to pull money out of the US, $2.2 trillion. Yeah. We are now realizing where things are headed. We embarked on a venture that we have no power, no stamina to fight for long term. And this is exactly where you're going to see now certain dynamics. Like I mentioned at the beginning, Iran now is moving from a defensive doctrine into an offensive. And the way I know how is because of what the other front that's going to be now activated. You know what I'm referring to here? I am referring to Ansarullah or Houthis. I'm going to share a clip with you and do the translation for you by about what the Houthis are planning on doing. So let's take a listen here. Let me upload it for you. And we learned from last year that the Houthis or Ansarullah do not bluff. It behoves the US. This is again to me what made me think, is this why Donald Trump now postponed the attack on Iran's nuclear facilities for another 5 days? Maybe, maybe not. I'll let you be the judge. Let's take a listen, please.
اتجه الأمريكي والإسرائيلي لمحاولة تنفيذ هذه الخطة بالقوة، أو اتفقوا مع الأنظمة العربية ووافقت لهم واتجهوا إلى تنفيذها. سنتدخل حتى بالقوة العسكرية، سنتحرك في أداء مسؤوليتنا الجهادية في سبيل الله تعالى.
I'm going to stop there because it's a little bit long. Here's what he said. If the Americans and the Israelis proceed to attempt to implement this plan by force, meaning to invade or send the troops on ground or attack Iranian facilities, or if they reach an agreement with Arab regimes who give their consent and they move forward with its execution, we will intervene, even if it requires military force. We will mobilize to fulfill our jihadi duty in the path of God Almighty.
للتصدي للأمريكي والتصدي للإسرائيلي والنصرة للشعب الفلسطيني، كما فعلنا في مواجهة جريمة القرن على مدى 15 شهرا في وقفتنا الشاملة مع الشعب الفلسطيني، بما في ذلك على المستوى.
And what he said, to confront the Americans, to confront Israel, and to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people, just as we did in the face of the crime of the century over the course of 15 months during our comprehensive stand with the Palestinian people.
والعسكري والعمليات العسكرية بالقصف الصاروخي والمسيرات والعمليات البحرية وغير ذلك. نحن لن نتفرج أبدا إذا اتجه الأمريكي والإسرائيلي إلى تنفيذ هذه الخطة الباطلة الظالمة العدوانية الإجرامية بالقوة. سنواجه عدوانهم بالقوة وبالتدخل العسكري وبالجهاد في سبيل الله تعالى بكل الوسائل، ولن نتفرج أبدا تجاه مثل هذه الخطة العدوانية ضد الشعب الفلسطيني.
By the way, I give credit to Al Arabiya TV, the same station that I did earlier the translation from. So here is what he said at the end. This included actions on the military level and through military means, missile strikes, drones, naval operations, and other measures. We will never stand idly by. If the Americans and Israelis move to implement this illegitimate, unjust, aggressive, and criminal plan by force, we will confront their aggression with force through military intervention and through jihad in the path of God Almighty. Utilizing every available means, we will never stand idly by We will never remain passive in the face of such an aggressive plan directed against the Palestinian people. Once again, very powerful word, especially when you read them in Arabic language. Those are very, very measured. And that's, to me, highlights the phase that is coming. That's, to me, why Iran now is moving into an offensive posturing. And shame on those Arab leaders in the Gulf. Still till today, none of them had the gut to step forward and say to the Americans, you know what? Once again, your presence is really what's causing all this. It is my belief, and I'm going to be preparing a special video for you for the end of next weekend about really where things are headed moving forward and how the US now is stuck into this and what the Arab leaders in the region needs to do. So be on the lookout for that down the road. And moving forward with this is where you're going to now, and I'm going to conclude here before I play 2 other clips for you, just as I always do at the end. The disputed now, the F-16 and now the F-35 incidents over Iranian airspace is far more than a simple clash of competing narratives. It goes beyond that right now. Because to me, in my opinion, it is a strategic wake-up call. We all know now the air defense inside Israel is done for. There is nothing they can stop. They can't stop Iran's missiles. And I'm going to be doing, I promised you I will keep doing updates for you. Last night, I've seen some images from Tel Aviv. I kid you not. They really look like what we saw in Gaza. Not the whole Tel Aviv, certain areas in Tel Aviv. But really what I saw was, I never thought I would ever see that. But it's the truth. So whether Iran's missile now destroyed the jet or merely came dangerously close, the undeniable truth, here is the undeniable truth, is that Iran's air defense are no longer the paper tiger the West once dismissed. The US and Israel used to say, we have air power over. No, not anymore. Because now you have a system, the air defense that is in Iran, that is capable of acquiring, of tracking, of engaging a frontline Israeli fighter jets, forcing even the IDF to quietly acknowledge a near miss. And that in itself demand serious recalibration from Israel and its so-called allies. Well, no allies, it's only the US. And by the way, Israel now is asking other countries to get engaged with Iran, meaning against Iran. Can you imagine that? Israel asking other countries to do so. So even now, you have military planners watching from the sidelines as this event developed or these developments taking place. So the skies over Iran are getting deadlier because the stakes now are higher than what it was before. And if there is one thing that is certain, is that this story is far from over. We're still going to have a lot. And that is why I'm going to do the updates for you about Iran's announcement that it struck the British base, Diego Garcia. And I can see why. Because the UK now is saying that it will let US launch some of its operations from its bases. Well, you do that, you become a target. You're no different than any other, meaning the UK in this case, you will become a target. And if they think that British is going to intimidate Iran, they're mistaken. Look what the US and Israel now finding out. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump now is asking. He's asking indirectly behind closed doors for a way out. For a way out. That's what he's asking for. I'm going to also be preparing a video for you about the 3 private jets that have burned at Ben Gurion Airport because of an Iranian attack. And I'm not going to get into all this ahead of time. So the only 2 other clips I want to share with you is one right here from an individual. I know who he is because I'm aware of him and I know him. I know who he is. This one, I just want you to listen, is in English. I don't need to do a translation for you. That's George Galloway. And the gentleman on the top is Michael Schur. He's a former top CIA analyst. He's the one who was very, what's the word? He was taking the file of Osama bin Laden, the case he was taking. It was Michael Schur, his name. Take a listen, please.
A war to kill Muslims. The Israelis really don't care what kind of Muslim it, as long as he's dead. The Israelis clearly can't defend themselves without us. It's a madness to saving the Israelis. Saving them for what? More Iranians, more Palestinians. What we found out is that never again means never again only per Israel. It's okay if the Israelis wipe out Palestinians. It's okay if they wipe out Iranians. It's okay. It's only a one-way track.
Okay. I just want you to, I just want you to listen to that one by yourself. And the last video, I'm going to share a clip. I'm sorry, not a video. It's a clip. It's to show you how corrupted our officials here in the U.S., including Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence. Because if you only know what she said last year versus what she's saying today and how she was flipped. You remember that picture I shared with you of Tulsi Gabbard with Marianne Adleson and Rabbi Shmuley? So take a listen here. Let me play. There we go. Let's take a listen, please.
Gabbard, last year you testified that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. Do you stand by that statement? Yes or no?
Context matters with that
Yes or
statement.
no? Yes.
Iran had all of
I
the
reclaim my
materials
time.
and
I reclaim my
capabilities
time.
to do so.
It's an easy answer. You either stand by what you said last year or not.
It is a
And
serious question that requires the totality
Director
of the
Gabbard, I reclaim
information
my
available.
time. I reclaim my time. The American people need to know if this was an imminent threat or not, if they're weeks away or not, if they're months away or not. None of this dodging. Were they an imminent threat? Director Gabbard.
Spot on, and shows you right there how corrupted officials in the U.S. is. Now you're gonna find out. I tipped my hat to Joe, what's his name, Kent, who just resigned as the director of the counterintelligence or the counterterrorism rather. I tip my hat to the guy. A former military, has been Green Beret. You know, those guys. Some of us in the military, not all, but some. You don't waver from doing the right thing, because there is one thing you learn. I learned in the military. One thing you learn: there is a hard right and easy wrong. Remember this: hard right and easy wrong. Meaning it's hard to do the right thing, but it's easy to do the wrong thing. And here she is, for Gabby to flip this quick. It shows you the whole system is corrupted. But now, Iran, it is my belief, and I conclude with this, it is my belief that the end, the decline, complete decline of the US, and it might be even the end of the dominance of Israel in the region, has come now at the hand of Iran. A single country. Forget about the Arab Muslim countries and all that. Those are just pathetic. Sorry to say, it's not so. I'm not sorry. It's the truth, you know. But the end, it's come out of the hand of a single country, is Iran. And that's to me what I see. It's exactly what I've been arguing when I wrote my Iran book. I was always, at the end, I concluded with, you do not want to cross Iran the wrong way. It's because you have misunderstood their restraint for sort of for weakness. And that's exactly what we end up doing. Anyway, I'm going to keep you updated with I'm going to do the other stories to verify and all that, and I'll keep you updated for the rest of the week, as I promised. You know, I want to say thank you. First of all, let me say thanks to those who have joined us. We have Sarah, thank you for becoming a channel subscriber rather. Truly appreciate you. And for those who might be here for the first time, please subscribe, because we want to reach as many people for the sake of the truth. That is what's important. So I take this opportunity to say thank you to Susie for becoming a YouTube channel member. Really appreciate you for doing that. Also for Best Faith for becoming a new member of the channel. And the other person is I am Riza. Thank you so much for your support by becoming a channel member. I take this opportunity to also say thank you to Virtual Team for your generous donation on PayPal. I am so thankful and grateful to you for your support of the channel. I'm very, very grateful to you. I also want to give a shout out to Fran Barnes for buying me a couple cups of teas in support of my upcoming trip to Asia. And thank you for that message. I can't share it here because I don't have permission to do so, but it was a heartfelt. I was touched by your sincere words and kind words. Thank you so much for that. Nutmeg Russ, once again, thank you again for your support of my upcoming Asia trip. And for those who supported the channel, the content, that is, someone by the name of Praxis 10, thank you for supporting the content on this channel here, truly, and buying me coffee. Truly appreciate you for that. And my last thank goes to Sinbad for buying me cups of coffees in support of the channel. I want just to conclude with these announcements here that I started now Substack. I'm going to be posting articles on Substack there. I might do something later on for members if I decide to go that route. For now, I'm having it for free. I'm going to be posting articles there. I want you to be aware of that because I will be writing about events that's going forward with that. I also decided to have a TikTok account. So I'm going to be posting on TikTok. So please make sure to subscribe to those both on TikTok and on Substack because that's one way of supporting this kind of new platforms that I'm going to do. For the channel, here is the link. Should you decide to support the content of what I do and the research that I spend in bringing to you the accuracy of information and so forth. If you want to purchase a copy of my books, let me see what it is. I don't know what it is. Yeah, right here, extra. If that's what I have, my Iran book and the Saudi book and the Russia book and American foreign policy in the region, West Asia. So I would greatly appreciate it. Once again, remember to join me this evening. Yes, I will be having a conversation with Einar Tangen. I'm sorry, with Warwick Pao. My apologies. With Warwick Pao, we're going to be having a conversation this evening. Very, very interesting dynamics that is taking place. Let me share the link with you. Not the link, but rather a poster. Here, hold on a second, guys. If I can get it quickly, just for you to see. And I already, it's already posted everything. So we're going to be having a conversation at 19:30 Central Standard Time. I hope you can join me for this fascinating conversation. We're going to be addressing really some key topics. Here is the thumbnail for it. I'll be talking about security, energy security. We'll be talking about a host of others, in addition to Warwick, a recent book that just been released a few days ago. So you'll be the first one to have a listen or to take a listen at what Warwick has to say. As always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.